Hey guys, Anna here. Welcome to today's video and welcome to another speed build. We are in the world of Copperdale, and more specifically we are on the Copperdale High School lot. This is a 64 by 64 lot. It is massive. But today we are building a high school. We're going to fix that dreaded large oversized build that EA had made for the Copperdale residents, and this is part of our Pack Pacific series that we're doing. So we are up to high school years, and I remember when this pack came out, I remembered it was probably one of the first packs where I wasn't really sure if I wanted this pack, to be honest. I didn't really see the appeal in it. It just felt like, oh, okay, yeah, it makes high school like an active experience and whatnot. But the build and buy is what convinced me to buy this. It is such a strong build and buy, which I think was at the time when it was released, it was really needed. And so for today's build, we are rebuilding the Copperdale High School. And for Thursday's build, we're building like it's a house for a teen. There's 2 teen sims that live in that house, and that is in the Prescott Square. So that's in obviously a different neighborhood for our smaller build. So a little bit about this build. So one of the big aspects that came with The Sims 4 around this time was a base game update for curved walls and curved rooms, more specifically. And thus, part of high school years, we got windows that were compatible with curved walls and rooms and whatnot. So I wanted to use this feature. I don't use curved rooms a lot, just because they are a bit glitchy and they are a little bit hard to deal with. Roofing can be a bit tricky. Sometimes when you're doing floor plans with curved spaces, the game just restricts you and doesn't let you do things. It's buggy. It's not the best, but I wanted to include it because one of the themes, the overarching kind of style that came with this pack is Art Deco. Now, Art Deco is something that in Australia you see a lot of Art Deco style builds. A lot of dated Art Deco builds that were built in, say, the 60s or the 70s. A lot of that going on. So definitely something I'm used to seeing, which is quite nice. And I wanted to do that here. And my concept was very simple, like you can see with kind of what we're doing with the shell of the high school, is you essentially have 4 curved rooms and a center part. And I really like the layout of this high school, and the layout of this high school is very much heavily influenced by my personal experience playing with this pack. So my personal experience playing with this pack is that the high school was far too large, the EA high school. It's far too large, and when you're actually playing a day of school, a school day for The Sims, it's actually everything's way too spaced out. You know, they'll need to use gym equipment and it's down in the basement, and they have to, spend an hour and a half in game time just walking from the gym to a classroom. And like that can really impact things. And then also, as you're playing, your needs are depleting. So if you can have all of the things that you need close by, it just makes it so much easier to play. So that's what we've done with this layout. And I really love the layout of this high school. And I think it's going to be very enjoyable to play. And it actually makes me want to play The Sims. And I think that sometimes that's my kind of metric to know that I've done a really good job with with a build in general, is that if it encourages me to then play The Sims, I know I've done a good job. So let's talk a little bit about that layout. So you walk in, you've got like a central kind of entryway. I haven't made this entryway very big because it doesn't need to be, right? The Sims are just walking through and, it doesn't need to be that big. Bear in mind, this is a high school lot type, so it does have item requirements that must be placed. So therefore, you will see potentially me placing a whole pile of assets onto the grounds just to kind of fulfill that requirements, because I can't save it and move on and come back later until I've done that. So that impacted things. So you've got the entryway there, and then if you go to your to the left hand side, you have the cafeteria or the lunch space. And then what I've done which is what I'm doing here, so I'm just mapping out the lunch space through those archways into the other side of that section, into the other curved part. That is actually a teens hangout, and I think that is my favorite part of this entire high school, is that I included that, because that has the thrifting. I believe I put a boba tea? I might have even put a boba tea in there, a place to sit. So it literally combines the two kind of community lots that we got with this pack, which is the boba tea shop and the high school. I've combined those two community lots together. So you have those just like a teens hangout place. And I think that this is really great. So I thought that would be a good inclusion to this pack, which is what we're kind of doing out here. You've got the racks, the browsing racks where they can do the thrifting. You've got some lounges, and yeah, I do put the boba tea in there. So that's the boba tea stand, so they can order boba. I think in game you can just hire somebody to man that station. So they will. So we are getting a little bit into the decorating. So sometimes I do this, I kind of semi-decorate as I go. So with this particular room, you can just see so much color. And that was one of the plus sides of high school years. I really feel that this particular pack really was aimed for Gen Z and that younger generation, because there's so much color, pastel color. A lot of the clothing really was inspired for that. And I think that makes sense. It is for a teens pack, and they're my favorite assets. So let's talk about items that are strong for high school years. So the rubbish bin. That wicker basket rubbish bin was revolutionary for me, because for the longest time, you'd always just use the standard base game white rubbish bin, but this had a new rubbish bin that could be used for coastal builds, boho style builds, kind of, I don't know, that bin fits in so many builds across the board. Also, the computers, like to have that gameplay aspect of having a streamer or an influencer, like that having two screens, like that's a very realistic attribute in people's homes. I have two screens. Anyone who works in IT most likely would as well. So that was it was realistic for me. Also, I loved the gameplay, the cheer mats, the footballs, what else did I really love? The beds. We got some really standout beds with the pack. The chairs, yes, we got some chess tables. Really good. And then obviously like the furniture and the posters. The posters and the paintings are standout in this pack. I use them in pretty much every build, regardless of whatnot, because they just allow you to build the most realistic teens and child's rooms, some even adults' rooms and whatnot. So to me, like, again, it's a very strong build and buy. So really happy with that. And the rugs. So what does it lack? So high school years, what does it lack? Let's think. So I don't know. I think the plants are a little bit clunky. The high school years plants are pretty much very I don't know, they're definitely used for the community lots as opposed to something residential. So I did struggle to use them in a residential capacity. We are just upstairs, by the way. So the upstairs layout is much different. It's just like a straight section. We do change it. I am changing it right now. So what we're going to do is we'll have a library at one end with all of the computers. And then what I'm doing here is that's going to be a gym. And then you've got a bathroom and then like some study areas. So the plants in this pack, I wish we had something that was a little bit more residential focused. But other than that, like everything is still pretty strong. Actually no, I take that back. The windows. I did struggle with the windows with this pack. Some of the swatches weren't as usable. And I think that's because they were trying to incorporate the pastels in a lot of the assets, which I do appreciate. But I do feel that some of the plain swatches didn't really go well with the base game. Which is fine because for a lot of people, they have multiple packs and I'm sure you'll find something. But when I was just using high school years and base game, I did have it that was a limitation that I experienced. All right, so back to the layout. So we've got the classrooms in the center and I think that this makes so much sense. So you've got the two classrooms in the center. One is kind of dressed as like more of a science theme and the other is more of an arts and language type theme, but they're very similar classrooms, and they back on to the music and art area and the chess area. So with the chess area, it's got some chess tables and it's got some also playing card tables. I didn't know what else to put in there, but that's a really nice space. So with this pack, I really wanted to tailor the build around the after school activities. So you've got cheerleading, football, chess and computer programming. So you've got plenty of computers in the upstairs library type space. You've got a whole section for the chess team. The arts area was just super fun. I got to use the mural that comes with the pack, which is, I believe is part of, yeah. And then I just built this really fun space where I used a lot of the neon pastel assets and colors. So I've got all these mirrors and then I've got an easel and like these little utility carts. I totally forgot this came with the pack and I love these little utility carts. They're so fun and you can slot things into them. So we've got that on one side and then on the other side we've got a piano, a microphone and I believe a guitar and a couple of violins. Just some base game stuff. Obviously I would have loved to use one of the new pianos, what is it, the freestanding pianos that we've been getting recently. That would have been so much nicer in this build. Oh, and a woodworking table. There you go. But again, we're working with only base game and high school years. So I put in some rugs. The rugs are really strong in this pack, which is really nice to see. Again, a lot of the equipment that you need to equip for a bedroom, you've got that in this pack. All right, moving on to this is the chess space. So I struggled a bit with spacing because I still wanted to make sure that the Sims could get in and out of the classrooms because how it is designed, and I probably should have had a door go between the arts room and this chess room, only because if you needed to go to classroom B, you have to kind of walk around the whole complex to get there. But then again, it's not that much. Like, it's still not that much. So we've got the 2 cards tables, a ton of chess tables, and I put a darts board because that was part of, I think there was like a base game rewards thing a couple of months ago, and that was part of it. I'm not sure if you didn't get that reward, it may not show up in your game, but if not, it's there. So this build is live on the gallery. My gallery is Antoinette44. It is down in the description below if you'd like to have a look. And yeah, let me know what you think of the build in the comment section down below. So we're not far off. So we've got the 2 classrooms and these areas here. That is that wicker bin that I was talking to you about. And I put like little trophies around and whatnot. Lots of artwork. These Art Deco wall lights, they're okay, but I wanted something there and I just felt that that was a way to do it. So you go down this hall towards the back of the build, you've got the snack machines, you then have some seating, and then that room there is the principal's office. So I thought it made sense to have a bench outside, and then you've got some more lockers, a trophy case, and we are just in the principal's office. I didn't really do too much in here. I kept it very simple. This is more to just have a requirement. You probably will go in here when you start the game, but then from here you probably will never use the space. The only thing I didn't put in this build is I didn't put in like a faculty space in terms of like a lunchroom or a sitting lounge. But honestly, when I've played, that was part of what made it a bit clunky, is you had lots of these rooms where nobody was in there. Nobody was using that space, and it just adds to it. You know, if you don't, the less stuff you have on a lot, the faster your game will run and everything. So I didn't want to put what was not necessary. Okay, so the biggest problem that I faced with this build was spacing. A, spacing, and B, how do I fill this giant lot? So because we've only got base game and high school years in this build, it limited me of things to do. So the only thing that I could think of is a giant pool, and potentially, you know, I don't know if the Sims would ever use this or if they'd have time to, but it was a really good way to use that up. And that is technically a way that you, your sim, can gain fitness skill. So there is use to it. I've done also a fake parking lot. There is a fake parking lot already included. You can just see it there. But again, I wanted to fill the space. And then the other way I filled the space is I went into the debug menu and I sized up a whole pile of trees just to kind of A, fit in with the landscape, but B, use up space. So this space, there is a part of this world which is down by near the pier, which is kind of very like forest type, pine trees. It's a mining town. You know, Copperdale is an old mining town. That's a little bit about the story of the world. So having those big pine trees, it kind of leads into that. Even though we're not in that section of the neighborhood, it still fits in. So I really didn't know what to do with this. I thought a lot of shrubs, and I did a lot of alt placing to get the curves right. And then I just went around with some rocks, some hydrangeas, some low-lying flowers, just to kind of frame the build. And then I went with some base game fencing around the pool because I figured it was a school. And I know in Australia that if you have a pool, it's got to be fenced. It's a rule. So I thought, why not do it here? There's no other fencing as part of it, but yeah. The debug menu is actually pretty decent for high school years. It does have some really pretty flowers. We may see those flowers come up, but I could have just stuck with the buy moment. Again, when I was doing this, I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do, so I did lay a whole pile of shrubs in a pool, it might seem, just to kind of help with that layout, and it seemed to be okay. Right, so what more about this build? So I really love the color scheme with the build. Again, I've gone in with the pastels, so you can see that kind of apricot color with the, it's like a mint green. That's really exciting. The roofs on the curved sections are actually platforms. So that was the easiest way that I found to do the roof. It does give the build a little bit more of a modern feel, but I don't mind it. I think that it's still okay. And again, if you remember what the initial build looked like, you know, it's honestly half the size, and I just think it makes so much more sense. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but with your Sims, there is a certain maximum number of Sims that can be at any one location in game. So if you're actually physically at the high school, you're only going to have X number of students. So it doesn't need to be this massive building. This is just my little improv car park. I didn't have my favorite fencing object to use. I believe it comes with Get Famous, and it's a lot more of a thinner type marking. We had to use a fence. That's all I have. You got to use what we have. But, and I just sized up some toy cars. It looks okay. It's just to kind of fill that space. All right, we are moving upstairs. We are into the gym area. So for this gym, I just wanted to place some gym equipment because I do know that in my gameplay that has come up to use gym equipment. Also, I wanted to have a space for every section, every after school activity. So there is a small cheer mat in here, but obviously the gym equipment, there's boxing, there's the treadmills, there's the weightlifting machines, and a toilet that accesses in there. The only thing I didn't add is a shower because I didn't know how you could. I really struggled with that. I'd have to find a way to do that so that Sims could go in there while other people were having a shower. I don't know. Anyway, we are into the library area. So I first started out by placing a whole pile of desks, and I wanted to combine standard desks with desks that weren't going to have computers because I did want to make sure that you could use this space for general homework and study. In the end, I realized I didn't put enough general study, like plain desks. So I do put more plain desks out in the hallway, in the foyer area when you enter up to the upstairs. So this is kind of just a really fun space. I've used a lot of yellow and the yellow swatches. I really love those they're dining chairs, but I've used them at the plain study desks. I'm just using that now. So these yellow chairs are really pretty. And again, we got new computer chairs, we got new computers. There's that plant that I've said that's very much for like community lot builds and stuff, more benches. And I put speakers everywhere, like PA systems, just because I thought it'd be realistic in that sense. I put some lockers around the place just to clutter up the upstairs, some more of those lights. And yes, as you can see, a ton of computers in there. And you really don't need much more. And I thought to put all the banners of all of the after school activities in here. And I just put the little cheer pom-poms. I love it. I think it's so cute. And the curtains in this build were okay. We did get some blinds that I could have used a lot more of in this high school, but I didn't. All right, we are now moving to the last part of this build, which I really did not know what to do with this whole green section. I got very confused with it. So in the end, I just kind of did like that setup for the cheer day and the football day, which I put a ton of cheer mats. I put some seating under the, I don't know what it is. It's like an awning shade thing. And then I just kind of did this. It's not realistic because obviously this is done at the giant propped oval, which is behind the school. But I put in a photo booth so that they can use, and I put in some chairs and some tables with some funky prints on it. And I thought it was okay. I do put a speaker out here, and I just thought that this would be a really good space for that. And just adding some final touches, and I added some footballs, of course. All right, so we are now live in game, and we are just going to go through the build for the tour. So you enter in through the front, and as I said, you've got that entry foyer. You've got some lockers. You've got the career day banner. You head to the right of the build, and you have the lunch area. I do have to change the direction of the lunch bar asset. I do that before I upload to the gallery, so that's fine. So you've got some bathrooms that link in there. Moving into the teens hangout space, you've got some bathrooms there. That's my favorite space, really colorful and bright. You've got the back section that leads out to the back porch, and then you have the principal's office. So that's really lovely there. And then we wrap around into the chess area with some gaming tables and the dartboard. That leads into a classroom. This is more that English language arts type room. And then on the opposite side, you have the music and the arts room and that science-based classroom, which again, I should have had a door that linked those two areas to make it a little bit more cohesive. All right, we go upstairs. There's that study place. Head down the hall. You've got the gym. You've got the upstairs bathroom that links into the gym only. And then you have the library and the computer, the computer lab, library type space. All right, we are then looking into the landscaping. So you've got that faux parking lot. You've got that area for the cheer team and the sports team. You've got the giant swimming pool, which I forgot ladders, so that's fun. We're just going to quickly add in some pool ladders. There we go. And then we've got the trees and a path. Good use of the space. And that is today's build, guys. Just changing the lighting. So if you have stayed this long for the video, thank you so much. I do understand that this is a long one. A high school is quite a big build to build, but I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have, leave a like and a comment down below, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye for now.